Hello and welcome to the original CAT paper solving of CAT 2025. This is CAT 2025 slot 3 DILR. If I compare it with 2024, this paper had the slightly higher level of difficulty. There were two sets which were easily doable. One was moderate and two were challenging. Today we are going to solve each set one by one. Every set is important. Try and understand the set carefully and then we'll solve it together. Now this set says A, B, C and Z are four countries with their currencies being A, B, C and Z respectively. The currencies have different exchange values. C's exchange rate with Z is 0.5, that is 1 C is worth 0.5 Z. Three travelers J, K and L set out from Z visiting exactly two of the countries. This is important, exactly two countries. Each country is visited by exactly two travelers. Now each traveler has a unique flight cost which represents the total cost of airfare in traveling both the countries and come back to Z. The flight cost of J was 4,000 while that of other two were 5,000 and 6,000. Not necessarily in that order. When visiting a country, a traveler spent either 1,000, 2,000 or 3,000 in the local country, local currency. And each traveler had different spends in the country's local currency in the two countries he or she has traveled. Across all the visits, there were exactly two spends of 1,000, exactly one spends of 3,000. So I know total of 1,000, 2,000 and 3,000. There will be six types of costing because JKL and they are visiting A, B and C, exactly two of the countries. So total there will be six visits. Out of these six visits, 1,000 will be two times, 3,000 will be once. So I am very sure that 2,000 in that local currency will be used thrice. And now the total travel cost includes the sum of flight cost and money spent in the countries visited. The citizens of four countries with a knowledge of these travel made an observation which spends measure in the respective local currency. So A citizen said that J and K visited their country and their travel cost were 3,500 and 8,000 respectively in the currency of A. B citizen said that K and L visited their country spending 2,000 and 3,000 respectively. K's travel cost was 4,000. So you have to understand again, this is definitely talked about B citizen, so it will be in B's currency. And finally C citizen said that L visited our country with a travel cost was 36,000 is total. So this is what is given to us. Now let's look at the questions. Now the question says what is the sum total cost of all travelers in Z? So we will have to find out all the currency exchange rates. How many Z did L spend in the two countries that he visited? So again we'll have to make the entire table. What was J's total spend in the countries he visited in A? 1B is equivalent to how many C's, and what is the total, which of the following statements is not true about money spent in the local currency. So what we have to understand is if we can't make the entire table, most of the questions won't be solved. So I would not say this is probably the toughest set of this entire paper, but this is definitely one of the lengthier sets because we'll have to find out each and every detail in the table. Let's dive deep into questions, each questions now. Now before going to the questions, let's understand each and everything that is written in this entire set. Let's try to make the table so that every question becomes easy. Here it is said that J's cost was 4,000 Z for the flight. So flight cost is 4,000. I'll try to make everything in the currency Z. Now the other two traveler had 5,000 and 6,000. So I don't know exactly, but I know that it will be either 5,000 or it will be 6,000. And similarly here it will be 6,000 or 5,000. Right. Now we know that 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 they will be used twice, thrice and once because total 6 visits will be there. every person is visiting every country exactly twice, and every country is visited by exactly two people. So there will be exactly one cross in each row and each column. Travel cost is given by the citizen or in their local currency. So let's understand them one by one. A's people said that J and K visited. So J and K visited. So L did not visit A, and their travel cost was 3,500 and 8,000 respectively. So that is 3,500 A and 8,000 A respectively. B says K and L visited. So K and L visited. So this J did not visit to B, and spending were 2,000 and 3,000. Now it is not travel cost, it is spending. So I know that K is spending 2,000 B and L is spending 3,000 B. So that's the difference between travel cost. Travel cost includes flight plus local cost, and this includes only the local cost. So that is spend, and K's travel cost was 4,000. So K's total travel cost was 4,000, but because it is coming from a person of B, so that is 4,000 B. Okay. And C citizen says L visited our country and the total travel cost was 36,000. Now this is 36,000, definitely C. I know that there is a line given that 1C is worth 0.5 Z, because we are trying to find out everything in Z. So this is 36,000 C. That means it is 18,000 of Z. That's for sure. Now with this 18,000 of Z, this entire information is given to us. Now let's try and find out how can we find out everything in terms of Z. Now there is a very important line which says that all the travelers, yeah, this is the line. When visiting a country, a traveler spends 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 in the country's local currency. Each traveler had different spends in the country's local currency. So I know that if this is 3,000, this cannot be 3,000. Anyways, 3,000 was used once. Now this could be 2,000 or 1,000. But in that case, if this becomes 1,000 C, that will make it 500 Z, and 500 Z, if we sum total these things, it can never have something in thousands. So this has to be 2,000 C, and if it is 2,000 C, that means it is 1,000 Z. So out of 18,000, this 1,000 is taken care. Now we are left with 17,000. Now 17,000, if we subtract 6,000, then 11,000 is not a multiple of 3,000. Hence, this flight cost must be 5,000, and then 5,000 plus 1, 6,000. This will become 12,000 Z. And now I know the currency rate, that 1B is equal to 4Z. And if this is 5,000, then this must be 6,000. Now I know for sure that this is 4,000 B, but 1B is 4 times. So this is 16,000 Z. And same goes with this. This will become 8,000 Z. Now there is a cross over here. There is a cross over here. So this must be crossed. And now total 16,000. Out of that, 6 and 8. That is 14,000 are gone. So this has to be 2,000 in Z. If this is 2,000 in Z, the ratio of A and Z is 1:2. So if this is 2,000 Z, this has to be 1,000 A. Now this is 3,000, 2,000. This is 1,000 and 2,000. And I know 3,000 can be used only once. So this also has to be 1,000 and 2,000, or it could be 2,000 and 1,000. But if you put this as 3,500 in A, and A is to B is 1:2. So that means A is to Z is 1:2. So that means this is 7,000 Z. Out of these 7,000, 4,000 are already used. So I am left with only 3,000 Z. If I put this as 2,000, In Z, it will become 4000. So 4 plus 4, it will become 8000. We are restricted to 7000. Hence, it cannot be 2000. It has to be 1000 A, which turns out to be a 2000 Z. And the remaining part, this will be 2000 C, which can be written as 1000 Z. So you can find out 4 plus 2 plus 1, that is 7000 Z. So now everything, every cost that we have encountered is in terms of Z, and we know the currency ratio as well, that Z is twice of C, A is twice of Z, and B is twice of A. So I think everything is very clearly seen. If this table is made, all the questions will definitely be able to solve. Let's move on to question by question. So this question says, what is the sum total of travel cost of all travel lengths in Z? That is 7000 plus 18,000 plus 16,000 plus 18,000. So 18 plus 16, that is 34 plus 7, 41,000 is the correct answer. So that's what the answer is. This question says, how many centers did Lian spend in 2 countries that he visited? So L visited B, which is 12,000 Z, and this is 1000 Z. So combining these two, he has made a spend of 13,000 Z, and hence that is the answer. What was the Janos total spend in the 2 countries he visited in A? Now J visited these 2 countries. Now this is 1000. This is 1000 Z, but I know 1000 Z is actually 500 A. So this will become 1000 A plus 500 A, 1500 in terms of A is the correct answer. The question says 1B is equivalent to how many C? So if you can understand, 1B is 2A, that's for sure. 1A is 2Z, so that means 2A is 4Z, and 1Z is 2C, so that means 4Z is 8C. So I know 1B is 8C, so 1B is how many crowns? 8. Option 3 is the correct answer. Which of the following statement is not true about money spent in the local currency? Not true. Let's see. J spent 2000 at C. J spent 2000 at C. It's a correct statement. We need to find out not correct. K spent 1000 in A. K spent 1000 in A. Correct. J spent 2000 in A. J spent 2000 in A. No, that seems to be incorrect. And finally, L spent 2000 in C. L spent 2000 in C is correct. So option 3 is only incorrect, and that's something that we needed to find out. Hence, option C is correct. Let's look at this set. This set says A, B, C, D, E and F are 6 friends. Each of them uses a mobile number from exactly one of the 2 mobile operators, X and Y. During the last month, the 6 friends made several calls to each other. Each call was made by one of these 6 friends to another. The table below summarizes the number of minutes of calls that each of the 6 made outgoing minutes and received from incoming minutes these friends. Grouped by the operator, some of the entries are missing. That's the table. So it means A has done 100 minutes of outgoing calls to the operator X. Now if you can see, operator X is only A and B. So I can understand that this 100 minutes of outgoing call must have been done to B. Similarly, if you can see, B has done outgoing calls to operator Y as 200. So that means B has done C, D, E and F total of outgoing calls as 200 minutes, and so on. So this is the table from which we'll make the solution table. It is also known that duration call from F to E was 200 minutes. Also, there were no calls from B to E, C to A, C to D, D to B, D to F, E to C and E to D. So this is the set given. Let's look at the questions. So there are 4 questions. First is, what was the duration calls in minutes from B to A? What was the total duration of calls in minutes made by A to friends having mobile numbers of Y? What is the total number of calls in minutes made by F to friends having mobile numbers of Y? And what is the duration of calls in minute from D to C? These are the 4 questions, 3 of them being theta, 1 with the options. Let's try to solve this set. So if we try to solve this set, it says A's total outgoing call was 100 minute to the operator X. So if you can understand, A and B are only having operator X. So A's outgoing to operator X was 100 minute. So this and this is absolutely same. So what I have done is I have incorporated this entire table into this. So for an example, A's incoming from X is 50. So this is 50. Similarly, C's incoming is 250 from operator X. So this is 250 and C's incoming is 150 from operator Y. So entire total is 150. So I've written this entire table in this. Now try to solve this table. Now A's total call is of 100 minute. A cannot call to himself and it is 100 over here. Again, A's incoming is 50 minutes. A cannot have incoming from himself. So this has to be 50. Similarly, if we can identify that F to E was 200, so F to E is 200. Now there were no calls from B to E, so B does not call to E. This is 0. If this is 0, total is 100. So this has to be 100. C to A was 0. C to A is 0. Now total is 50. So this has to be 50. C to D was 0. C to D is 0. D to B is 0, D to B is 0, again total is 100, so this has to be 100. D to F is 0, so D to F is 0. E to C is 0, E to C is 0 and E to D is also 0. So now we take this as 0, 0, the total is 100, so this has to be 100. This is 150, so this has to be 50. This is 175, so this has to be 125. And this total is 325. I wanted it to be 375, so this is 50. And now I know that F did not call to A or B because total is 0. So this is 0, 0. Now total is 125, this is 50, so this has to be 75. And total is 225, this is 100, this has to be 125. So 125 plus 75, this has to be 200. This is 50, total is 150, so this is 100. 100, 150, this has to be 50. Now total of this is 200, 250, that is 450, 450 and 275. So that is 725. Out of 75, 200 is total of B. So total of A has to be 525. So these information, of course, this is 0, 0, total is 100. So this is 100. This has to be 350. So these are the information known to us from which I think we can solve each and every question. Let's try and go to the questions. This question says, what was the duration of calls from B to A? So now we need to understand that B is calling for 50 minutes totally to any operator X and A is the only person is operator X. So hence B is calling 50 minutes to A, hence 50 is the correct answer. The question is, what is the total call duration made by A to friends having numbers from operator Y? So we are talking about total of these numbers. Now we don't know these numbers separately, but we have identified the total of this number as 525 because this was given as 200 and total of these 4 were 725. So hence the answer is 525. So I'll just write down 525 is the correct answer. The question says, what is the total duration of calls made by F to the friends having mobile operator Y? So we are talking about these numbers. So if we just total them, sum total them, it is 200 plus 100 plus 50, which is 350, and hence the correct answer is 350. The question is, what was the duration of calls in minutes from D to C? So from D to C, We have already find out this to be 100, and hence the answer is 100. Option 4, 100 is the correct answer. Now this set says three countries P, X and C trade among themselves and with the other countries, that is the rest of the world. All trade volumes are given in international currency. The following terminology is used. Trade balance is export minus import. Total trade is export plus import. Normalized trade balance is the trade balance, which is export minus import, divided by total trade, that is export plus import, expressed in terms of percentage. The following information is known. The normalized trade balance of P, X and C are 0, 10 and minus 20% respectively. 40% of exports of X are to P and 22% of import of P are from X. 90% of exports of C are to P and 4% to rest of the world. 12% of the exports of rest of the world are to X and 40% are to P. The export volume of P in IC to X and C are 600 and 1200 respectively. P is the only country that exports to C. Now let's see the questions. The question says how much is exported from C to X in IC, how much is exported from P to ROW in IC, how much is exported from ROW to ROW in IC, what is the trade balance of ROW, and which among the following countries P, X and C has the least trade balance. Now if you can see, the question was given everything in terms of percentages, whereas the individual questions are in terms of IC, so that this will be a lengthier question. You have to convert all the percentages into currencies and that may take time. If I take in real time scenario, I had attempted this particular paper. This was the only set that I would recommend students not to do. I also left this set and this is what is recommended. But let's start solving this set. Now it says the normalized trade balance of P, X and C are 0, 10 and minus 20 respectively, and all those 5 lines. The first thing that we need to understand is what things are given and how can you make sense out of this data. So first of all, I'll make this table. This is an elaborative table which shows about all the 3 countries. These are P, X, C and rest of the world. R is for rest of the world. So P would have exported something to X, to C and to rest of the world, imported from X, C and rest of the world. So the import of P from X will be equal to export of X from P. So X to P. So this number and this number basically will be same. That is something that we need to know and then we can go further. Now the first line says that normalized trade balance of P, X and C are 0, 10 and minus 20. So if I can understand, for X it is 10%. 10% is 1 by 10. So X, for X, export minus import upon export plus import is 10%, that is 1 by 10. If I just can cross multiply, that will become 10E minus 10I is equal to E plus I. So that makes it 11E, sorry, 9E is equals to 11I. So that means export upon import is 11 by 9. So if I take export of X is 11X, so import of X will become 9X and total trade will become 20X. I hope this is understood. Now let's move further. Now if I talk about C, it says trade balance is minus, trade balance is minus 20%. So that is export minus import upon export plus import, that is minus 1 by 5. 20% refers to 1 by 5. So minus 20% is minus 1 by 5. If I solve this, it will give me 5E minus 5I is minus E minus I. So that turns out to be 6E is equals to 4I. So E upon I is 4 by 6, which is 2 by 3. So if export of C is 2C, then import will become 3C. The total trade is 5C. I hope this is understood. Now let's move further. For P, the trade balance is 0. So if we assume that export of P is P, then import will also be equal to P, because total trade balance is 0 and this total trade will become 2P. Now the first line says 40% of export of X. Now total export of X is 11X, 40% of that is 4.4X. That will be import of P, so that is 4.4 of X. But now it is said that it is 22% of imports of P are from X. So out of this total import of P, this is accounting only for 22%. So can I say 22% of P is 4.4x. 4.4x can be written as 440 by 100 of x. So you can take 100 cancelled out. This will become 22 2s are 44, 20. So I know P is equals to 20x. So I know export of P is 20x. So that export and import is equal because trade balance is 0. So this will also be 20x and the overall trade is 40x. I hope this part is clear. Let's move further. Now it is said 90% of exports of C are to P. So 90% of export of C are to P. So that is 1.8 C and 4% is to the rest of the world. So that is 0.08 of C. So remaining, of course, 6% will be here. So this is 0.12 of C. I'll just put this exports as import of these countries. So import of P will be 1.8 C, import of X will be 0.12 C and import of rest of the world from C is 0.08 C, right? Next it is said 12% of export of ROW are to X. So let us assume the total export is 100A. So 12% is to X. So this is 12A and 40% are to P. So that is 40A. The last line says the export volume of P in IC to X and C are 600 and 1200. So export to X is 600. This is 1200. So import of X is 600. Import of C is 1200. P is the only country that exports to C. So the X does not export to C and R does not export to from C. Sorry, R does not export to C. That means C does not import from X, C does not import from R. Now interesting part is I have done this cross from P to P. Yeah, that is cross. X to X cross, C to C cross, R to R cannot be cross because rest of the world can trade with rest of the world. It is not an individual country. So some other country can trade with some other country and you can see the total of these two is 52A. So remaining 48A will be here and this is something that we need to learn. Let's look further. Now we know that import of C is 3C, but import of C is only from X and that is 1200. So I know 3C is equals to 1200 and hence C has to be 400. So wherever we have C, we will use 400. So this is 1.8 into 400. This will become 720. This will become 48 and this will become 32, right? And hence these will become 720, 48 and 32. Now let's look further. Now we can see that export of R to P is 40A. So P's import from R has to be 40A. So you will get one equation which says 20x is equals to 4.4x plus 720 plus 40A. And if we see R's export to X was 12A, so X import from R will also be 12A. So we'll get one more equation, that is 9x is equals to 600 plus 48 plus 12A. So we have got two equations and two unknown. We will have to solve for X and A. When we will solve for x and a, we will get x is equals to 100 and a is equals to 21. So now we'll put x is equals to 100 and a is equals to 21 in this entire table, and this table will look like something like this. Now with this table looking like this, we have got all the things in numbers. If we need to find out something else, we'll find out during the questions. Let's go and try to solve each question one by one. Now the first question says, how much is exported from C to X in IC? So it's very evident C to X is 48 and hence your answer is 48. Now the second question says, how much is exported from P to ROW? You can see from P to ROW it is 200 and hence 200 is the correct answer. So 200, we will be marking the answer. Here it is. Now this question says, how much is exported from ROW to ROW? So ROW to ROW, here we go, 1008. So hence answer is 1008. The next question says, what is the trade balance of ROW? Now trade balance for ROW, we need to understand total trade balance to the entire world is always 0. The trade balance for P is 0. For X it is plus 200. For C it is minus 400. So overall we are at minus 200. So to make it balance, the rest of the world must have it as plus 200 and hence your answer is plus 200. Fourth is the correct answer. Now this question says, which of the following in the countries P, X and C have the least total trade? Now if you say total trade of P, it is 4000. Total trade of X, it is 200. Sorry, it is 2000. And total trade of C is also 2000. So 4000, 2000 and 2000. The minimum is 2000 with both X and C having 2000 and hence the answer is option number 4, both X and C. The set says 7 children A, B, C, D, E, F, G are sitting in a circular arrangement facing inside, not necessarily in the same order, and playing a game of passing the buck. The game is played over 10 rounds and in each round the child holding the buck must pass it directly to a child sitting in one of the following positions. And that is important. We need to understand which positions are that. So that is immediate left, immediate right, second to the left or second to the right. So this is the basic set. Now there was a table given which said the game starts with Beena passing the buck and ends with Chirag receiving the buck. The table below provides some information about passing the pass type and the child receiving the buck. Some information is missing and labeled as question mark. So if you can understand, in round 1, of course, it starts with Beena. So Beena would have started passing the buck. She would have passed it immediately to the left and it was received by Arav. In the second round, Arav passes it to the second to the right and it is passed to whom, that we don't know. That's a question mark. So this is what the set indicates. Now let's try and solve this set. But before solving, let's understand the questions. So the questions are, who is sitting immediately right to Beena? Who is sitting third to the left of Ishan? Which of the following pass type can the total number of occurrence be uniquely determined? And for which of the following children is it possible to determine how many times they have received the buck? So all of these seem to be direct question. I think so this set, if I see the difficulty level, circular arrangement, we have definitely seen this kind of set before, and the questions are also very straightforward. So this was a set that was to be done during the paper. Let's try and solve this. Now if we try to solve this set, this is a very straightforward set. So let us assume that Beena of course has to start. So Beena is in let's say seat 3. I'm just assuming that number. Now she is passing it to left, immediate to the left. So seat 4 has to be Arav with triple A. And he is getting it in round 1. Now Arav is passing to second to the right. So this second chair, who's there on the second chair, that we don't know, but in round 2, he or she must have got the buck. Now that person is passing immediate to the right. So that is number 1 chair and that is given as Divya. And Divya is receiving in round 3. Now Divya is passing to whom? That we don't know. Who's getting that in after round 4? That we don't know. But round 5 again, Arav is getting the buck. So R5, Arav is getting the buck. Now Arav is passing second to the left. Second to the left is 6th chair. That is round 6. Who's getting that? That we don't know. In round 7, this guy passes it to immediate left and Gaurav is receiving it. So this is Gaurav. And this is round 7. Now Gaurav is passing immediate to the left. So that is round 8. Divya is again receiving it. Now Divya is passing to Farhan. So Divya cannot pass it immediately right because it's Gaurav. She cannot pass 2 to the left because it is Beena. So it is either immediate left or 2 to the right. But if she passes immediate left, that means if second chair is Farhan, then in the other case Farhan has to pass it to Chirag. Now Farhan cannot pass it to Chirag. Hence the 6th chair has to be Farhan. And then Farhan passes to Chirag. This is round 9. Round 10. Chirag gets it. So of course this chair which is remaining has to be Ishan. So now we know everything that round 1 Arav is getting, round 2 Ishan is getting, round 3 Divya and so on. The only thing which is left is round 3 to round 5. So if I take round 3, round 4 and round 5, starting with Divya to Arav, there are 3 cases possible. First is Divya takes pass it to immediate left, that is Ishan. Ishan passes to second to the left, that is Arav. Or Divya can pass it to second to the left to Beena, Beena immediate left to Arav. Or else Divya passes second to the right is Farhan, Farhan passes second to the right, that is again Arav. So these are the 3 cases possible. Now if we know this entire set, the arrangement and all the 3 cases possible, we can solve all the questions possible. Let's go to the questions. Let's start now. So if we see the first question, it says who's sitting immediately to the right of Beena. Now Beena is at seat number 3. The immediate right will be seat number 2. So Ishan is the correct answer. So option 4, Ishan is the correct answer. The question says who's sitting third to the left of Ishan. Now Ishan is at seat number 2. Now third to the left is 3, 4 and 5. Chirag is the correct answer. So hence option 2 is correct. This is the correct answer. Next question is, for which of the following past type can the total number of occurrence be uniquely determined? Now for all past type, we know things with certainty. Only round 3 to round 5, we are not sure. So if you can understand, immediate left, second to the left, second to the right, we are not sure. If this case is given, second to the right will increase by 2. If this is the case, then this is the case, then immediate left and second to the left may increase by 1 each. So these 3 passes we are not sure with. Immediately to the right, definitely we are sure with. Hence option 2 is the correct answer. Now the next question says, for which of the following children is it possible to determine how many times they received the buck? If you can see, for round 4, Ishan, Beena or Farhan, any of them could have received the buck. So for them you are not sure. So Ishan, Beena and Farhan you are not sure. So the only person you are sure in this option from these options is Gaurav. Hence 4th is the correct answer. So let's see this set. This is there are 4 people A, B, K and S participated in a puzzle solving competition. The competition comprises of 10 puzzles had to be solved in the same sequence. That is, competitor got access to puzzle as soon as they solved the puzzle, a previous puzzle. Some of the puzzles were visual puzzles where the others were number based puzzles. The winner of the competition was the one who solved all puzzles the least time. The following charts describes their progress in the competition. The chart on the left shows the number of puzzles solved by each competitor at a given time, and after the start of the competition. The chart on the right shows the number of visual puzzles solved by each competitor at a given time after the start of the competition. So if we can understand, let us take example of A. A has started at 0 time at 4 minutes, because this is 2 and 2, 4. So 4 minutes, A has completed the first puzzle. And if you see the first visual puzzle also, is completed at 4 minutes. So I am very sure A takes 4 minutes to solve first puzzle, and it was a visual puzzle. The second puzzle, now A is from 4, it is 6, 8 and 9. So the second puzzle took 5 minutes. So second puzzle took 5 minutes and total is 9 minutes, but here the second visual puzzle got over at 14th minute. So second puzzle is not visual, it is for sure numeric puzzle. As far as third puzzle is concerned, now the third puzzle has got over at 11th minute. So from 9 to 11, it took 2 minutes. Again, it's a numeric puzzle. The fourth puzzle is 11 to 14, and that 14 takes 3 minutes. So that is 3 minutes. But because at 14th minute, the puzzle got over was a visual puzzle, hence fourth puzzle is visual. So I hope everyone has understood the graph. This was for an example of A. You can take the similar example for C, K and S. So we can come to know how much time each puzzle has taken and whether it was a visual puzzle or a numeric puzzle. So this is the set. Now let's look at the questions. So there are 4 questions. First says who had solved the largest number of puzzles by the end of 20th minute from the start. Very straightforward question. How many minutes did Suranjan take to solve the third visual puzzle of the competition? Third visual puzzle of the competition. At what number in the sequence was the fourth number based puzzle? And finally, which of the following is the closest to the average time taken by A to solve the number based puzzle in the competition? So what I'll do is, for the third question, it is asked fourth number based puzzle, and fourth it is asked for A. So I'll just solve for A. That will help me solve third and fourth both the questions. Now look at the questions one by one. So let's look at the first question. It says who had solved the largest number of puzzles by the 20th minute from the start of the competition. If we see from the start of the 20th minute, this person is just on 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5th question. So he will be on the 5th question. Whereas red is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So it's between 5 and 6. Green is, yellow is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, he is also between 5 and 6. But green is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So he's between 7 and 8. Basically, by looking at the graph also, you could have said that this guy is cruising at the end of 20th minute. So green is for Kaushik. Kaushik is the correct answer. Option 4. This was just an observation based question. Must have been done. So answer is Kaushik. Now this question says, how many minutes did Suranjan take to solve the third visual puzzle? If you can understand, now Suranjan takes first puzzle. To solve first puzzle, he takes 5 minutes. So this is Suranjan, blue colored. So this is 2, 4 and 5. And first visual puzzle also he takes 5 minutes. That means the first puzzle that he took 5 minutes was the visual one. The second visual puzzle is getting over at 18th minute. So we need to understand on which question he takes 18th minute. So the first question took 5 minutes. Then the second took only 2 minutes. So this is 2 minutes. So 7 minutes he is right now. This is a number puzzle. Then 7, this is 12. So again it takes 5 minutes. From 12, this is 6 minutes. So this is 18th minute. So this 6 minute has to be a visual puzzle. So 6 minute and visual puzzle. Then again the third visual puzzle is getting over at 28th. So let's go ahead. So 18 plus this is 3, that is 21. Again numerical puzzle. This is again 23. So 2 minutes numerical puzzle. This is 26. So again 3 minutes numerical puzzle. And now this is again 28. So that's a 2 minute. It's a visual puzzle. So now the question is, how many minutes S take to solve the third visual puzzle? So this was the first visual puzzle. This was the second visual puzzle. And this was the third visual puzzle. 2 minutes is the correct answer. And hence the correct answer is 2 minutes. The question says, at what number in the sequence was the fourth numbered puzzle? Now let's look at A. So A's first puzzle gets over at 4 minutes. Now this is 9, this is 11, 14th, this is 19th, this is 21, this is 27, 29, 33, and lastly 37. Whereas the visual puzzle is 4, then this is 14, then this is 29, and then 33. So the puzzle which is getting over on 4th, which is the first puzzle, so first is definitely visual. The puzzle that is getting over on 14th minute, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4th is again a visual puzzle. 29th, so that is after 4, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. 8th is also a visual puzzle, and then 33. So 9th is also a visual puzzle. So these are the 4 visual puzzle. We are asked in what sequence the fourth numbered puzzle was. So if I found the visual puzzle, that is 1st, 4th, 5th and 9th. So this is the first numbered puzzle. This is the second numbered puzzle, third and fourth. So the fourth numbered puzzle was actually the 6th question. So at what number in the sequence was the fourth numbered puzzle was the 6th. So 6th question is the correct answer. Now this question says, which of the following is the closest to the average time taken by A to solve the number based puzzle? So in the previous question we could identify that these are the visual puzzles, these are the number based puzzle, and the time taken was, this was 4, 9, 11, 14, 19, 22, 27, 29, 33 and 37. So time taken was 4, 9 minus 4 is 5, then 11 minus 9 is 2, 3, 5, 3, then again 5, 2, 4 and 4. Now I want to take average of number based puzzle. So what I can do is I can just take number based puzzle, that is 5 plus 2 plus 5 plus 3 plus 5 plus 4, and there are 6 number based puzzle, divide by 6. So this is 5, 5, 5, 15, 15 plus 5, 20 plus 4, 24, divide by 6, that is 4. Option 3 is the correct answer.